to record?
Yeah.
So last time we talked about, the concept of, witness,
Right.
correct? And we said witness is nothing but consciousness,
Right.
correct? And now the question is, as a follow-up, right, that consciousness itself has, lot of layers, because when we're trying to clean it up, correct? There are a lot of samskaras are, layered onto it,
Right.
on the consciousness. So when consciousness is reporting back to the mind, the state,
Mm-hmm.
correct? It is reporting the state of the consciousness itself, or is it reporting the status of the subtle body?
It's actually beyond that.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, right? So the consciousness, the it makes the things aware, whatever is reflected in consciousness. Now, this mind is an interpreter,
Correct.
and mind is always looking towards the external world because
Mhm.
that's how it has been trained from the day one. So the Vishayas, the external things, are becoming aware. So
Mhm.
what is becoming aware to the consciousness is a thing, or you can say which is in existence, which is manifested entity. We can call it this world. Even your thoughts are manifested entities.
Mhm.
So it has certain form and shape to it. Even thought has a form. Vibratory state is a form.
Mhm.
Now that which has no state. So when the mind is completely absent, now when the consciousness becomes the witness, as long as the mind is active, mind is the witness.
Correct. But I'm saying,
So when
you know,
consciousness becomes the witness, right?
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Now it's its reflection, the reflection of the soul, it becomes aware of.
Got it. So basically,
Hmm.
depending on the how pure the consciousness is, it
Yeah,
is able to reflect, because obviously it's not the, as you're doing the practice, right? So there's a lot of layers on it, correct? So depending on how pure the consciousness is, it is able to read the reflection of the soul, and that's what is it reporting to the mind then.
correct. But even how much ever distorted that reflection is,
Mhm.
it's good enough. We got the glimpse of it. Otherwise, so it is not about the criteria is not about consciousness becoming pure. Criteria is, are we getting the hold of it so that we can seek it, so that we can, now we have a choice. Now we see this distorted reflection, now we have the ability to refine it.
So you're saying that because you got a taste of it,
Yes,
right? And now you're trying to get more and more of it and see how tastier it is.
right. So now, yeah, now you are basically, now you're drawn towards it.
So if you don't have, you know, experiential experience,
Right,
right, then we all as Abhyasis are struggling. Hey, I don't see anything.
correct.
But if you get a taste of it,
Yeah.
then it is real.
And one more aspect I've been talking about this for lately is trust whatever that feeling experience is. Because we are always wondering because we don't trust it. It is something else. That's what we say. Oh, my consciousness has to be pure. This purity is basically killing us. The concept of purity is killing us. So the real thing is whatever that glimpse of it, trust that experience. Have faith in it. The moment you trust it, you can own it. The whole concept of AEIOU, the imbibing of it only happens when you trust it.
Yeah, if you raise a doubt,
Yeah,
then it's all
you say
downhill.
this is not it is what it is, then you're looking for something else. Then what is that something else? That never comes to you because you're neglecting, you're ignoring what is right in front of you, and you're saying it is something else. So you'll never have the glimpse of it. And we are in a loop, continuous loop. We are, in a way, we are told that that is what you want to have, but at the same time, you're not having it even after 20, 30 years of practice. The reason is we are not ready to accept it and trust it. There's a fundamental flaw in us that we are not trusting it. We are accepting that we have such a master who can transmit the divine essence to us, and then we are not ready to trust the divine essence when it appeals to us, right?
Yeah, but you essentially have to be open to whatever happens on the way.
Correct.
That is what it is.
And that openness and trust both have to be there. It's an absolute trust, and whatever it is, then we know, once you know it, you know how to refine it. But if you
Okay.
don't know it, how are you going to refine it?
Then you don't have an idea of what sugar tastes like.
What you are working with, yeah, you don't know.
Yeah. So just to summarize, what you're saying is that the consciousness is the one which is the witness, and it is witnessing basically reflection of the soul onto is it your subtle body or your consciousness itself?
Consciousness is subtle body. So it's all through, one thing we have to understand, it's all communication between all these three bodies is only through reflection. The
That is correct.
awareness is also a reflection in the mind, reflection of consciousness in the mind. So it's
But
all, even prana is nothing but the reflection of that state in the body.
but
That
for an Abhyasi, mind is the only instrument.
mind is only our only instrument. But consciousness will become our instrument when the mind is absent.
Which happens once the
In the-
observer and the observed, they
Correct,
collapse, then it is the consciousness which is the witness.
correct.
Okay, all right. I think that was one question. And then other question was, these in your videos, you talk about these koshas.
Yeah,
Correct. And then I think you have given a mapping of like, Annamaya kosha, right? It is points 1 through 5, the heart region essentially.
correct.
And then the then comes the mind region, and you have said it's points 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
Correct? And then beyond. Correct.
Mhm.
So, and then you talk about, in all these koshas, right? There are certain, once you overcome them, correct?
Mhm.
Then there are certain characteristics.
Correct.
Correct? But my question to you is, very often Master talks about that, hey, Master's job is through his power to give you these, help you to, make the progress spiritually. Correct?
Right.
But like character formation or behavior, other things, they are the responsibility of the Abhyasi itself. Correct? So I have a little confusion here that how are they different? Because if your internal condition is such, shouldn't it be reflected uh, through the senses or through whatever tools you have through which you communicate to the outside world? Why is there a disconnect? Because Master is, whether it was Chariji or Daji, he has been reinforcing this multiple times. Guys, it is your responsibility. It is your responsibility. So, do you know why such thing happens?
Yes. It's a very interesting, observation I had. So here, master giving the progress is the problem. I mean, everybody will take back what are you talking about, right? But that's a problem. It's because, see, they are giving us in their love or eagerness, right? See, suppose my son is deserving or not, I'll buy him something.
Mhm.
or I want to give everything I have. Now, here they are not looking at the deservingness. That is their uh, inability because of the love, total love in them. Correct? But what happens is if I am not capable to receive what I am receiving, then it's a lot of it doesn't transform in a true way, in a true spiritual way. It's like I was forced into it without my condition supporting it. So I cannot really hold it. I cannot sustain it.
So he gives
So
us this,
yeah, he gives
but
us. So you're not sustaining it. At least, work on your character, understand, do a self-reflection, at least work on your character so that you can sustain it a little bit. But truly speaking, if I am really growing along with my character and attitude, and I truly, truly compel the master to give me more, then I'm sustaining all of it because my character and my spiritual progress is going in parallel along with it. So, but sometimes, just because I am made a preceptor, the master has to bestow certain capacities on me, correct?
Mhm.
But I can only serve better if my character, if I can work on my character. A character means many things, right? That's a whole
I mean, broader, I'm saying the
aspect of
broader
life,
context of a character.
broader context. So many things covers, comes into the character. So that's why we have to, uh, match what is given to us because it is given to us uh, due to certain requirements. But if I am already, if my capacity is already there, it's automatically bestowed on me. There is no compulsion there. Not because of some requirement. Because he made a preceptor, he has to give me something. Not like that. Right? So
Mhm.
then I can sustain it better. But kind of it's happening in multiple ways. It becomes an imperative need for me to work on my character.
I mean, how does one work on one's character? Because, we are basically driven by, how I'm programmed. Correct? You can become conscious of it. You can, be regular in your abhyas, be regular in the cleaning, do whatever is required, correct?
Mhm.
But besides that, how does an abhyasi work on his character? Because we essentially have these animal traits, right? We we are programmed.
Yeah.
So how does an abhyasi change it?
It's very difficult because this character definition changes according to person, according to what their mental desire is or mental state is.
Mhm.
So, from my state of mind, whatever I'm thinking, I'm already justifying it. I'm already, sort of concluded it that is the right way. And from your state of mind, you have concluded certain things are the right way.
Mhm.
But from a higher state of mind, what is the right thing? So, if my character evaluation is always by connecting to the higher mind and reflect back, then I can find the required changes in me or required changes I need to work upon myself. But otherwise, I appear to be right and you appear to be wrong always to me.
Correct.
And
Correct.
you are also doing the same way. For you, you appear yourself to be right and I am always appearing wrong because now the parameters are changed. So the character is only for me to work on, not to look in others. Uh, so then
So
I'm
from
always connecting to this higher mind and doing a self-reflection.
basically from each individual's level.
Yes. So that is what the maximum 9 is about when you are asking for forgiveness. Forgiveness for what? Because for me, I have not done anything wrong.
Correct. That's your state of mind, and you think
That's
that's
my
the right
state
thing.
of mind. But when I connect with this absolute mind and can reflect upon myself, that's what the maxim should do, is teaching us. And then whatever the faults in me, I sort of submit it and resolve it then and there. So that means by that on that day I have refined myself and I'm ready for the next.
But then you have to have that reflection that
Yeah,
you
but I can only reflect when I connect with the higher mind and reflect. Otherwise, my
correct.
own self-reflection has no meaning
Yeah.
because I have not done anything wrong. So in my mind, I have not done anything wrong. I always felt that is a useless maxim in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but slowly I realized the importance of it.
Mm. Okay. So I'm going through these, one by one. So question is there is that, we talk about the Chitlake, right?
Yeah.
And we say, if I understood correctly, that all the thoughts are descending from the Chitlake,
Mhm.
correct? Whether it's a good thought or a bad thought, everything descends from there.
Right.
That is basically a driver for us.
Correct.
Correct? And then we say by default, they all come down to the point one,
Mhm.
correct?
Descend
And
down.
then
Yeah.
descend down to point one, correct?
Right.
And essentially, if someone is not an Abhyasi, then the execution starts from point one, correct? Whatever he's doing,
Mhm.
correct? But then at the same time, we say that points A and C, correct? Uh, I mean, at those 2 points, right?
Mhm.
We deal with the external world, our additional impressions, everything. They are the windows to the outside world.
Correct.
So why does the Chitle get then? These from the past that are there? Where do these come from?
So one, the grossness has to is forming the layers all the way up, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that, okay, the current impressions are at the lower points.
A and C.
Yeah, A and C, but
Mm-hmm.
they slowly, that vibratory state is reflected all the way up. So the reflection, what I'm talking about, is not one-way street. It's a both-way street.
So
So
they
the
go up.
feedback mechanism is always reflecting back all the way,
Mm.
correct? It's a mutual reflection. So it's not one-way reflection. It's not coming all the way from up to down. Up to down is happening because the prana is moving from the top to the bottom.
There's a natural flow of prana.
Sahasrara, from Sahasrara all the way to the Kundalini. And it is going through all the channels, all the millions of nadis which are out there.
Mm-hmm.
So the entire body prana is percolated. But it's also the prana is also reflecting the conscious state, distortion. And the distortions I'm adding are also going back. That's why the impressions gathered on the consciousness, right? Now consciousness is at which point?
It's all over.
It's all over.
And then, when we start the practice, we divert this current to point two.
Correct.
Correct? How does that change? I mean, by directing the flow to the point two, right? How does it change?
So the prana, when it is descending,
Mhm.
the the essence is basically the prana is the essence when it is descending. Correct. So it is going all the way into the Kundalini, one-way channel.
Mhm.
Correct. But the yogic shastra has described, I mean, discovered that if this conscious state is coming down because of we are gravitated towards the lower. So if this can be diverted upwards, means now we get gravitated towards the higher.
Mhm.
But the Yoga Shastra did not realize that it took the same channel where it is descending down.
Correct.
So then you are basically going upstream, which requires enormous effort. And in the process, it can damage you. So what our masters have discovered is by diverting through the frontal portions, which has the same conscious state, same abilities, much higher abilities, in fact, and more refined. So that's why the diversion to upwards from point 1 to 2, they found a path to take it all the way to the Sahasrara and beyond. That is the 13th point, central region. Correct?
Mhm.
And in between, there is Brahmarandra. And a lot of people who discovered these techniques did not know how to escape the Brahmarandra pot. So basically, when they reached the Brahmarandra, their soul escaped. They did not see anything beyond that. So that's where the role of the master is, where he has to carry us after certain point, because that's not in our ability to do that.
No, but turning the flow to the higher points, right?
Hmm?
How is it changing the consciousness?
So now, as these each points are denoted with certain conscious state.
Mhm.
That's the whole idea of the point. A point is, you can call it as an intersection between the subtle body and the causal body.
Mhm.
It is nothing to do with the physical body.
Correct.
So with the subtle body and the causal body. So depending on these, even though they are mapped to the physical body, because your subtle body is also covers the expansion of your subtle body's consciousness is mapped to your physical body.
Correct.
So that's why we kind of denoting these points some on the physical anatomy. Okay, we are kind of trying to, this map is along the physical anatomy because it's actually the subtle body anatomy. Correct? So each point has certain state of consciousness. So once we cross this fifth point, which is all related to the pinda, which is all bodily consciousness, once we
Mhm.
cross that only, we're going into the mind region. So the once you enter the mind region, your Annamaya kosha is dropped, dissolved.
Correct.
Now you are working with your Pranamaya kosha. So that is where the mind region you enter the Pranamaya kosha. So there, the state of consciousness now, because you moved across the kosha, it's almost uh, in a one dimension away, but you see the difference. The Rama is supposedly from Manomaya kosha, sorry, Annamaya kosha,
Mhm.
and the Lord Krishna is supposedly from the Manomaya kosha. So between two koshas, there is a huge difference. So as a child itself, he has the consciousness, awareness of his capacities. That's why he could kill the Rakshasi, or the Rakshasas, whoever demons who attacked him when he was a baby, infant baby. Correct?
Because the conscious level of
That's the
conscious was
conscious
totally different.
level of the conscious state he had from the Manomaya kosha. So that's why there's a huge dimensional difference between the koshas. Correct? So
Mhm.
once we cross this mind region, I mean Pinda Pradesh, heart region, your consciousness has already gone to a dimensional change, gone through a dimensional change. Until the fifth point, it's like very subtle changes from point 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. very subtle changes, but there's a dimensional change once you go to the 7th point. And similarly, once you cross the 9th point. And 10th, once you cross the 10th, Babaji says it's the Maya ends by 10th. That means you're entering the godly region, Brahmanda Mandal already, Prabrahmanda Mandal. Because there even the Pranamaya Kosha is done. So you're completely out of Maya.
So when we say we're out of Maya,
Mhm.
correct, what would that be in the real world,
In the real world, I mean, look at it this way. This is called Ishvara Mandala. Once you cross the 10th point, Ishvara Mandala, Mandala is like region.
Mhm.
Once you cross that, the glimpse of the reality begins in our conscious state. So there, we are not looking back towards the physical existence at all, survival at all. So there, I mean, the nature also has to cooperate for us to support our existential phenomena. So there we are in such a balanced state. We do our work to the minimum required,
Mhm.
and that minimum required is much more than what we are doing today because
because
of
your
the conscious
because
state.
your multiplier factor is huge.
Correct. So then your focus shifts towards the realm of reality.
Okay,
So that's the
got it.
shift.
So another one, I was thinking of, the prayer, correct, the heartfulness prayer.
Yeah.
So how does it actually get answered?
Prayer to be answered. The
The,
heartfulness prayer, there is nothing to be answered in it.
no, so is it basically, I mean, we say, "Oh Master, thou art the real goal of human life," correct? And then we talk about the wishes and all that, correct?
Yes. So prayers is like a sankalpa. So
Mhm.
when the sankalpa is right, the nature obliges to it.
So when you say nature,
Prakriti, Shakti. There is a
so,
Purusha and Shakti,
so
Prakriti
it is within us only,
within us.
correct?
So when we are saying, when I'm kind of acknowledging the fact that to become that divine essence, which is master,
Mhm.
is my goal, I'm sort of making a sankalpa. I'm setting a goal in my mind and I'm reminding that goal with so much, what should I say, will and sankalpa. It's not strong will, subtle will, but at the same time, there is a lot of intensity to it. So I'm sort of manifesting it in a way. The Shakti, that is why God and power, it says in the prayer. That Shakti, we are allowing it to manifest in our lives.
So basically, we ourselves answer the prayer by the Shakti which is invoked within us.
I mean, there is nothing to answer. It's sort of all intertwined, working together.
No, I mean, when you're saying, because, we always have these wishes, correct? All of us, all the time, correct?
Correct.
And you want to, negate those or basically, get rid of those, correct? So
So
you
here
do,
again, there is no negation. It's a dissolution. So what's the problem is with these wishes, the wish is not defined properly.
Mhm.
Wish is a subtle wish. Suppose you may meet a friend with some accident, with some sickness, illness, and the friend will say, I knew this was going to happen. How does your friend know that it was going to happen? Because they wished for it. Somewhere in the deep mind, they wished for it.
So are you saying that in the somewhere in their consciousness,
Yeah,
they wish for it
right.
and it was nagging them
It's
deep
manifesting
inside,
already. It's
and then it
manifesting.
got manifested?
Right. It's manifesting already. So before it manifests, if my prayer is correct, all those wishes will nullify even in the seed form. They dissolve. They never manifest for you. It's a huge difference it makes in our lives. If the prayer is practiced regularly and properly, it makes a huge difference in our lives. All these wishes, which are negative anyway, we can never wish for anything positive. Even when we think about somebody, we are thinking ill of somebody. The only fundamental difference between a master and a disciple, I mean, a regular person, is the master can never wish anything ill for anybody, nor for himself. But otherwise, the regular people, we are already, if something goes wrong with them, oh, for his behavior, he's paying for it.
Correct, correct, correct. See, that's the
See, that's the the negative personality.
correct, correct. Yeah, we say, oh, he was a bad man, that's why he got punished. You
Right,
know,
right.
very,
Mm.
very often we think like that,
We think
which
like
is
that. So that,
basically incorrect.
that basically shows that we are not growing spiritually. So the fundamental thing is when I'm nullifying all those wishes at the seed form before even they manifest, there's a huge change comes in our life, which we don't realize. If at all anything is changing in our in this practice, our lives is because of the prayer, not because of the cleaning, not because of meditation. That is the importance of the prayer. We have to make use of it properly. So prayer has to be done, with a real conscious, aware mind. Then it becomes effective.
So, a regular question asked by a lot of abhyasis is that what's the difference between, a sankalpa, making a, sank, how do you call
Sankalpa,
this?
willing.
Sankalpa,
Sankalpa.
sankalpa, and a normal wish.
Mm.
So, what's the difference?
So if it is strong, suppose I am looking at a car going on the road, a Porsche. I wish I had this car. That's at a very grosser level.
Okay.
So a sankalpa is almost known, unknown expression of the will. It is known, but very much unknown. It's like somewhere in
Give me an
between.
example. I mean, give me an
Just
example.
like suppose, I kind of feel there is some accident going to happen to me, and it happens. It is known unknown. I'm not really looking forward for it. I'm not desiring it. But at the same time, somehow that expression happened in my mind, somewhere deep down. The deep, subtle expression of the mind is the wish. You can also translate that into sankalpa. That is the level of sankalpa. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said, a true saint sankalpa is almost zero.
Because any thought manifests,
Yeah, it's just a slight change in that vibration. It already happens.
as they say, tathastu.
Tadastu. Yeah. So that is the sankalpa. It's the more subtler, more refined it becomes, the more profound and effective it becomes.
Okay.
Such a saint has to really, his mind, his character, and everything has to align in such a way that his sankalpa is always in a ennobling way.
Correct.
Otherwise, it's a disaster.
So that's about the heartfulness prayer. What about the regular prayer that people go to master with different challenges in life, and if heard masters over time, they always say pray to the master.
Right.
How does that get answered?
So praying for some situation or anything,
Mhm.
right? Now,
Yes,
that is it's a need you're feeling. And lot of times this prayer should be very, to do it correctly, you should only put the problem you're feeling, you're suffering, or whatever you're going through in front of master. Lot of times, suppose I'm having a headache. I'm praying to the master, my headache should go away. Versus, master, I'm having a headache. Two different things. So, because the moment you put the solution in front of that entity, it's like saying, oh, you already know the answer. Then where is the question, right? Where is the request? So
So how
that
does it get answered? I mean, it has to get, say, typically, people have situation in jobs, they have situation in,
yeah,
sickness,
many factors.
any situation, correct?
All of us are going through it.
Correct. So we all as humans go through this, correct? But how does it get answered at a physical level?
So this it's not at a physical level. So this is also now we are addressing to that God and power.
Mhm.
That is we need to understand God and power together. So because God doesn't know headache versus no headache.
Mhm.
God doesn't know sickness versus health. God has no is not a conscious entity. So we need that power, the Prakriti, which is aware of my state and situation. So the power is the one which works through us to remove that ailment. If we only allow it. The problem is the moment I put the solution, I've already thought about one angle to it. But the Prakriti might have multiple angles to it, multiple facets to it, in multiple ways to resolve. So that's why the best way to do is put the problem and wait. Wait here means not will dekhte hain, we'll see what will happen, not that kind of a waiting. Waiting is I'm in a receiving mode. That's what the meditation waiting also means. I'm in receiving
Mhm.
without uh, my my own identity or my own ego is not working over there. Then I am allowing that Prakriti to work through us to resolve that issue and work through everything surrounding me to resolve that issue. So it has a certain method and a proper way to approach it. Again, the trust plays huge difference because if I have trust only, then only I can accept it, right? Then only I can receive it. So all these things play a bigger role in getting the prayers answered.
Okay.
And if if those prayers are not answered, I still have the trust and courage to go with it.
So in case of an Abhyasi, right, when he does his own cleaning, correct?
Yeah.
Where from does he draw that power? We talked about, when perfects are made, obviously they are, some changes are made within them, and they have that extra will or whatever power is there. But in case of Abhyasi, how does he do?
It is the same thing. Babuji discovered this Kal Shakti. At
Even for
certain,
Abhyasis?
yeah, even for Abhyasis, when they get their three sittings, this potency is enabled.
Hmm.
So that they can use that power to clean. Otherwise, cleaning is going against nature. Otherwise, if it is again, it is in conformity with nature, this should have been discovered long time ago. It is going against the nature. It requires the higher power than the available state of powers in anything to known to the humankind so far.
Because the normal course is he has to go through
Right.
the burn the karmas.
Almost, yeah, it's almost going much beyond the power of the Shakti, the nature itself. So that's why uh, cleaning in Babuji's genius, you call it, his ability, you call it, he discovered this power to clean the BSEs. That's
Because
why
I don't think
cleansing
there
and
is
transmission.
any spiritual system that I have heard of or am
Yeah,
aware where this
aware,
concept is
aware.
there.
You go to any Vedantics, any saints and everybody, they say nobody can clean your karma.
You have to undergo it essentially.
Yeah. It's almost like a dead end. because now this new capability is discovered and it is given to us at a certain potency for us to do it ourselves, we are able to do it. Otherwise, it's not possible. So you cannot teach this cleaning to a non-Abhyasi and it will not work. The method won't work. Unless they receive this transmission, they prepare for 3 sittings, it won't happen for them.
Yeah, because otherwise they don't have that extra power to use
Right,
it.
right.
Okay. So follow up to last week's. I, by the way, listened to my own conversation.
Yeah.
It's very funny. So you labeled it as Turiya to Turiyata or something.
Turyatit, yeah.
Turiyati. So what is Turiya there and what is the Turiyati?
Like I explained, right? Turiya is the fourth state.
No, I got it. But in my conversation,
Huh,
when I was saying the different, experiences, correct?
right.
Which one is the Turiya and which one is the Turiyati?
So any experience is at the Turiya level,
All experiences.
all experiences.
And what you describe as experience could be uh, somebody getting into meditation and having tons and tons of thoughts.
Right.
And
Yeah.
uh,
Thoughts, no thoughts, whatever you feel,
so that's the
whatever you
Turiya.
look, it's all Turiya only.
And Turiyata?
Turiyatit is the real essence, the real divine essence, which comes back to you almost like a feeling of nothing, but there is some flavor to it. You cannot really call it as an experience.
So in that,
That's why all experiences are at the lower level. How much ever great that you speak about, they're all at the lower level.
state, essentially, what is happening is because the mind is absent.
Right.
Correct. So once the mind is absent, is it that, I mean, when the mind is absent, both the observer and the observed aren't there, right?
Correct. But that's only Turiya state.
Yes.
Mind is absent. Mind is now connected with the consciousness. In some way, it is absent. That's at the Turiya. When the
Mhm.
consciousness now start witnessing the soul, Atman itself is the Turiyati. That's a fifth step.
But again, in that case, mind is still the interpreter.
Finally, for you, that's the only tool. So when it comes out of it, it brings that information back all the way to the mind.
So I'm assuming all these are just reflections. There is no, I mean, in a mundane way, there is no exchange of information. These are just reflections.
Correct.
Like, we see the shadow of the sun, and
Yeah.
if we don't know there's a sun, we think there's something, some phenomena is there.
Some phenomena. Yeah. We don't know that.
It is just because we have the idea of the sun
Yeah.
and we understand the science, so we say it's a reflection.
Interestingly, all people have the divine experience, divine knowledge. Everybody. Because they're not tuned to it, they don't know.
Right. It is
It's just pass.
not known. Yes. And we all have all these ingredients.
Correct.
It's just that we are not, we haven't explored them.
Right. I mean, it's not, we are not tuning ourselves. So once you know you know the real feeling of it, you trust it, then only you will recognize that feeling. Otherwise, that feeling would have come to many people who are not practicing. Even in their puja, even in their prayers, in their everywhere, in their troubles and frustrations, they would have felt it.
But
But they don't know it.
there have been situations like, say, Eckhart Tolle.
Right.
Like, he had an experience when he was sleeping on a bench in Cambridge or Oxford somewhere.
Right. Yeah, but they're stuck with that experience, no? They don't know how to refine it. Even though they spoke so great about it, they don't know how to refine it. So they're
Okay,
stuck and then that whatever that mental status, that wherever they are stuck, it is creating all sorts of projections. Now, every projection of it, they are thinking it as a spiritual divine experience. But they're not seeing that those divine experiences are not getting refined more and more. So they're happy about it. Now constantly their mind is projecting. It happens to all our abhyasis, most of the abhyasis. They're constantly projecting from one level. And they are so mesmerized by those, they don't know how to get out. That's why few
but
people they talk about experience after experience every day.
but it's not up to us to come out of it.
Because if if your seeking is sincere, you want to refine it. You don't want to go through it again.
No, that I got, but the the it's not up to the individual abhyasis to come out of it and move further.
It is up to the individual abhyasi to come out. Why
Hmm.
not? Because after all, I am the one who is spiritually progressing. Remember, if you are waiting for the progress to be given to you, there's a problem.
No,
You
what I'm
cannot
saying is
sustain it.
that
You will not be able to sustain it.
no, what I'm saying, I mean, how would you, I mean, all you can do is you follow the instructions.
Correct.
Correct? You follow the instructions, what we have been told. But
Yes.
beyond that, what can you do?
So these instructions are just a framework. A basketball player, he was asked to, the throw the ball into the basket, right? Into the what you call it. And if that is the instruction, then who is the best basketball player? So there is a skill, there is a development over there. The instruction is the same for everybody, but we have to refine that instruction.
No, give me an example. How would an abhyasi refine it?
Once you know your status,
Mhm.
that self-reflection, all the 10 maxims, and then these are all very dynamic in nature. They're not
No,
static in nature. The
no.
framework
One
is
thing
good.
is, yeah. I
It's like
mean,
the musical instrument. You have the 5 notes, 7 notes.
that's all. That's all you have.
All you
Figure
have.
out, figure out what you can
Then
make
how
out of it.
much music has been created and still is being created only with 7 notes. Correct? Small variations, small
Mhm.
refinement. So that's the part of the practice. So the more engaged I am, the better results I see. It's consistency and engagement.
So is that where master always uses the word that Sahaj Marg or Heartfulness is a very dynamic system?
It has to be dynamic. Otherwise, what's the point, right? Then everybody is a master the second day.
Okay. All right. Well, give me the sitting then.